Righto guys, so back in the workshop we've got the standard, what I'm going to call standard DA, so your 15 gauge fuel nailer.
Yep.
This is the one that Dwayne spent more time playing around on. I haven't spent a lot of time on this, but DA nailers I have. Yep. I really like the gauge, but I feel like the market's moving away a bit from DA.
Yeah, so you get the half round head.
Yep.
Instead of the little sort of rectangular heads on the 16 gauges.
Painters tend to get a little bit gnarly on this sort of stuff now, and they sort of go, look, we want you on the thinner gauge ones with the smaller heads.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It feels like the market's sort of going away a bit from this. Yep. But this thing's got some kick, hasn't it?
Wow, yeah. It's actually internally, it's identical to the 15 to the 16 gauge units.
Yep.
Or particularly the 16 angled. And really the only difference is the magazine.
Yeah,
so I don't know.
There's a big difference.
I don't know how they're achieving the extra power. But this definitely has more power, and you can feel it in the recoil. It really kicks.
It's also not scientifically qualified that it is more power, but man, it kicks harder.
Yeah. Jump into some footage now. This one's going to be a shorter one because we're going to refer you back to our first video on the 16 gauge nails, which are very similar.
Yep. Just having a bit of a look at a 15 gauge angle fuel nailer. Now, we opened up the other ones the other day, just to have a bit of a look inside and see how similar they were. What you'll notice here, we noticed quite a bit of extra kick, didn't we, in this one for some reason?
Yep.
But the fuel canister looks identical size, all of this looks identical, so I'm not sure whether electronically or there is more pressure in that nitrogen canister, but we both reckon that there's a real physical difference in the kick and the power coming through from it. All this seems identical. This here, you'll notice here this is straight across. We spoke about that in the angled 16 gauge, and I'll just sneak across to it. That's the same casting there, whereas the straight 16 gauge had a bit of a dip, and there was differences here in the casting, so that's sort of got a step down there, and this one's the same.
It seems clear that with the exception of the magazine, the 16 gauge angled nailer and the 15 gauge angled nailer seem to be the same unit. The internals look the same, the only difference being the magazine on the 15 gauge.
Yep.
Obviously it's the higher, the thicker nails, but also the 34 degree angles.
Yes.
Whereas the 16 gauge has the 20 degree angled nails.
So other than that, like it's all the same. We spoke the other day about all the sort of the clamshell where it holds all these pieces, like it's all screwed down and in tight. Nothing's just floating.
Again, just a reminder, don't do this with your own tool. You will void your warranty as soon as you open it up like this.
Yeah.
And it is dangerous. Apart from leaving your battery out from electrical shock, you've also got a pressurized nitrogen cylinder in here.
Yep.
So leave it to the experts.
It's got the warning there, and I'd be taking it real serious. It's a nitrogen canister. It's she could get pretty ugly if you touch it. So we're not going any further than this.
Right, so look, I do want to send you back to the 16 gauge review because most of what we're going to say now is just a summary of what we said then.
Yep.
Because it really is a very, very similar gun. So your 32mm to 64mm DA nails.
Yeah, standard DA strips. Everybody's got them.
That's right. The weight, about 3.4 kilos. So it's about the same as a framing gun.
Yep.
So
the Paslow gas framing gun.
Yeah, that's right. So it's it is heavier than a normal DA, 15 gauge nailer.
Yep.
But no cord, no gas,
no
worrying about the cold, no paying extra with your nails for the gas.
Yeah, we spoke a bit about in that last video regarding there's always a cost to something, so we want to keep this on the same platform as the drills and the circ saw and everything we've got. Well, the cost is an extra bit of weight because this is the way Milwaukee's provided it.
That's right.
But there is no gas. You're not having to warm your canisters up in the middle of winter, and the cost factor.
That's right.
So
look, I don't mind the 15 gauge nails. I think most of the time for me, if you're working with arcs and skirts, I'm probably going to go the 16 gauge, but a lot of the guys do like the 15.
Yep.
And I find the 15 is also good for knocking together projects at home, stuff in the shed, knocking together boxes.
Just that little more substantial head.
Yeah.
Yeah, you tend to go to. It is a bit more old school, I feel, the DA head.
Yeah.
People are sort of shimmying across, but I don't know. Everyone's different.
It's a matter of personal preference.
Yeah.
It really is.
What did I say before? Wholemeal versus white bread or something?
Yeah, that's right. Look, for me, if I had to choose one between the 15 and the 16, I'd take the 16.
Yep.
Because it's got that less recoil than this one has. But sometimes those bigger nails are really handy.
Yep.
So, look, it's a good gun. It does suffer from the same ergonomic issue that the 16 gauge
with the knuckle.
do. You do hurt your knuckle on it a little bit because of the way the handle works.
Yep.
So it's a little bit of an issue, but it's a fairly tight unit. We like it's got a nice long magazine.
Yeah, you notice that straight away.
Put plenty of clips in it, although it does mean you can't stand it up anyway.
That's true.
There's no way to have this.
He's got the ugly gun because mine stand up pretty.
Right.
One thing I did want to mention, guys, and I didn't mention it on the other video, is that I really like the ease of loading the nails. Now, some people are going to go, "Oh, who gives the stuff?" Well, I'm telling you that some guns are actually really, sketchy here.
Yeah, that's true.
And to be able to get a clip of nails, scooch them straight up the rear and just go flick and done,
yeah,
it actually makes a difference. And if you're pumping clips in there all day on a fix, that actually makes a difference. For those who are out there laughing at me right now, telling you now when you chuck a dummy spit and throw the clip of nails because you can't get it in easy, these all three guns I found were really easy. So the magazines are nicely designed and nice and smooth.
What about this button? Do you like that? I'm used to there being more like a little lever on the top of that, which I find is faster to grab. This you've sort of got to find the button.
It's sort of a bit funky. I don't mind it. The only thing I would say is that a couple of times on mine, I've actually been nailing away, and this thing is actually from the shock of it nailing, it's actually popped up and slid down.
Yeah.
Now, I can't see how I possibly got involved in it. I sort of went, oh, maybe I did something. So a couple of times mine's rattled and popped through.
Yeah.
It didn't happen on this one while you were using it, to my knowledge.
No.
Certainly while I've been playing with it today, it hasn't happened.
Yeah.
So, but in general, I really like that. It's nice and tight.
Me too. So, I do like the magazine a lot, which is very important. Just like the 16 gauge, you got quick release of the whole front end, so you can get your jam nails out.
Yep. The
really
depth adjuster's no different. It's the same.
I've not jammed this once.
No, I think I've only had two jams.
On your other nail guns?
Yeah, on the other one. But this one didn't
and that was when you were hitting other nails.
Yeah, possibly.
I haven't. Of course it was. So yeah, no jams on this so far. And it's been driving really consistently. Apart from when I went flat out trying to see if I could get it to overheat.
Yep.
Get the thermal shutdown, which I couldn't achieve on this gun. So yeah, really powerful, really powerful.
Yep.
And a good gun. And the only drawback, as I mentioned, really is the issue with hurting my knuckle.
A little bit ergonomics,
So.
Yeah, look, I think it's a cracker to replace your DA Air. This is a solid option, and I said it and I'll say it again with this gun. 5 years your nail gun is covered for. There's not many other guns that you're going to be covered for 5 years. This bad boy, I think, is going to do a lot of good for you.
That's right. Again, same price range as the 16 gauge and the 600 to 650 sort of mark.
Yep.
As a skin, you can use all your existing batteries and chargers and everything from your Milwaukee line.
Yep.
Or obviously a bit more if you're buying a kit. If you get it in a kit, 2 amp hour batteries are what it'll come with, because that's all it needs.
Yeah.
You get tons and tons of runtime on a slim battery.
It's ridiculous.
You don't need a high capacity battery on one of these nail guns.
I might stick a 9 amp hour on it just for fun one day. Better to be dumb.
So anyway, that's the review. If you want more information, go check out the other video. But thanks so much for watching.
Thanks, guys. Any questions?
Let us know, and please subscribe. Thanks.
See ya.
Bye.